We are here today with Thomas Raymond, the Democratic candidate for Sangamon County Treasurer. We appreciate you being here today, and if you'd like, just start out with an opening statement as to why you think you're the best candidate for the job.
Yes, thank you for having me today. Just to start, my name again is Tom Raymond, running for Sangamon County Treasurer. A little bit about myself. I'm a fifth-generation resident of Illinois. My family's moved around from areas such as Salem, Illinois, and O'Fallon. I previously studied for my bachelor's degree in history and political science at the University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana. I moved to Springfield when I went to obtain my master's degree in political science at the University of Illinois Springfield. I'm actually back at the University of Illinois Springfield obtaining my MBA and getting a certificate in applied finances. I have previously worked in the Governor's Quinn's administration as a fiscal administrator, where I dealt with such issues as payroll, property management, and accounts receivable. I currently work at the Department of Revenue. I have worked in 3 different divisions so far. I worked in the Federal State Exchange Unit as an office associate. I was an office coordinator in the Property Tax Division, and I currently work in the Operations Special Services as a administrative assistant. I believe that I have a good background in fiscal administrative skills. I have looked over I've been a part of several budgets in the past. I have been pretty mindful of things in terms of finances through government, and I have for most of my adult life, I've worked in government. So it's been a passion of mine, and I'm willing to step up and become the next county treasurer because I felt that we needed more representation from average people. I'm not a famous politician. I'm not a family name, of course, but I felt that I could do the best job possible for this county and be part of that representation. And I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
So I always like to ask people, you're a Democrat.
Yes.
So how'd you get to be a Democrat? How can you account for that? And then a couple of principles that you think Democrats stand for, and how would those play out in the treasurer's office?
Oh, that was a good question. I remember being asked that question once before, a couple of years ago, when I was trying to get the ILSIP graduate internship program through UIS. And the basics I've kind of discovered over time is that as a Democrat, and I hate to generalize because I don't see much of a difference between Republicans and Democrats, but as a Democrat, I see that government can be used for good. And not to say Republicans don't, but at the same time, I don't think that the government should be overreaching or restrictive, but that I think I joined government to do good for people and for all people. And that includes for financial reasons, social reasons, what have you. I just feel that as a Democrat, that's one of my main principles, is that government could be used for good and be good for the people around it. And
how would that play out?
Oh, in the treasurer's office.
In the treasurer's office.
Correct. Yeah, that's be good because I want to make sure that there's good fiscal responsibility there and that the money being used is for the good of the people. I plan on trying to review every dollar being spent in all the different departments throughout the county. I think there's about 100 or so, so the money's being spread around a lot throughout the county, and I want to make sure that everything's being used wisely and efficiently.
Good. Thanks, Tom.
You mentioned you worked for the State Department of Revenue. Expand a little on what you do there and how that would benefit not only you but taxpayers if you were elected to this office.
Currently, I work in the Operations and Special Services Division. I deal with mostly logistical it's mostly logistical's office. I help assist the the division manager, and we deal with things like warehouse, mailroom, printing, the print shop, one of the print shops, and fleet management. So we deal with a large portion of services being provided throughout the department. So I get to enjoy kind of learning more about each division throughout the revenue, and get to see how the money's being spent, how it's being utilized, getting to know more of the divisions more wisely. So as a county treasurer, that helps because I get to have that more understanding how things connect, not just, it's something as simple as like a mailroom interconnects with the entire department. And just like any taxpayer's dollar can be spread between several different departments throughout the county, just kind of interwoven that idea should be beneficial.
So what financial problems, if any, do you believe the county is currently facing, and how would you work to solve them?
Right now, I was reviewing the budget overview that was passed or presented last November, and I noticed that towards the end they showed a lot of the problems that the county seems to be having is in terms of stagnation. It seems to be the common trend. There's stagnation in population growth, stagnation in growth in property values, sales tax. It seems that we're not losing a lot of people, we're also not gaining a lot of people, and the businesses don't seem to be, it seems when leaves, it comes back, but we're not gaining like more businesses throughout the county to help kind of offset a lot of those, offset the stagnation problem. So as county treasurer, I would like to work more with getting business here, trying to make the county a little more attractive, not only for businesses, but with more businesses come here, more people want to settle in, so it'll help provide more homeowners, which will help with property taxes and property values. So that's one of the things that I hope we can just get out of this role of stagnation. But it's also funny seeing the stagnation being noted, but the county budget keeps growing. It's now currently $108 million, and I think within the last few years it was under $1 million. So it seems to keep, even though there's stagnation, there still seems to be growth. So I kind of want to find out what their plan is for the future and help kind of either roll back or help grow the county.
So the county board, I'm sorry,
go
you
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The county board recently really took the lead role in working to create this Economic Development Corporation. So would you have some sense of what might be good about that, and what would concern you about that?
Well, one of the concerns I have with the Economic Development Commission is that it seems kind of an offshoot of the previous Economic Development Commissions they've created in the past. A lot of the same people are being represented on it, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of new faces, and it's not a lot of diversity presented in the commission itself, so we're not getting a lot of these new views, ideas for businesses. I do think the commission is a good idea overall, because I would definitely, I do not want to halter any way to bring in businesses, but I do want to alter the way that the commission is formed. Also, one note I have found with the commission is that even though the county and the city of Springfield have put in large sums of money to fund the commission, they don't seem to have a lot of say with how the commission is operating. They don't have a lot, I don't think they have any, they may have some sitting members, but they don't have like a veto power, or they don't have a larger sway. And so it seems to be, while the people who pay into it have to have more say, even though they pay far less in the county or city. But ultimately, I would hope that the commission, I do not want the commission to fail. I would like it to succeed, so we have more businesses coming to the state, and more businesses coming to the county, and help improve the county growth.
I think my question was somewhat related. You say that one of your priorities would be trying to work to get more businesses here. Economic development is great, but is that really the purview of the treasurer's office? And if so, how would you do that?
Purview of the treasurer's office, like the main duties of the treasurer's office is to invest money, collect the taxes, and to create the budget. So yeah, there's not a lot in terms of like business growth, but as a county executive, I would imagine they would have a lot of say in how county businesses, or not county business, but the business of the county can operate and have a little more sway with county board members. I'm not going to step in day one and tell the Republicans who all have a majority of the executive offices and the county board what to do. I want to work with them, because we can't succeed if we're just fighting with each other the entire time. So I want to ensure that we can move forward, and I would like to be part of it. I'm able to step into a role, learn as much as I can, understand things better, and then see how better to connect things and then help things grow.
You brought up with the EDC that neither the county nor the city had like veto power or anything like that. That's kind of how a public-private entity works. Do you think this should have been all public then? Because I mean, the beauty of a public-private enterprise is that you have this, yes, you do have this public support, but then you also have the private support, both financially, and they are some of the biggest business leaders in the county. Do you think it should have been a completely public effort for economic development then, so that would be more of the city and county leaders having that say?
Well, I did find it interesting that the commission was formed while there was already economic development office within the city, so it was interesting to see that. But I don't always think government's the answer. I do think public-private partnerships are beneficial because you get that more of an input from the businesses. But I didn't like how the county and the city had to put more of the funding, and then the businesses get more of the say, because it kind of puts a strain on an already struggling city, and the county doesn't have much to say through it as well. The county was able to, because I think they had the finances pretty well. But then if City of Springfield's putting the money in, I don't want to strain the other cities of the county, but I'm not sure if there was any talk about having them put money in or so forth. So there's more representation of a private-public partnership, because the commission should be working for the entire county and not just the City of Springfield. Well, even though it's the economic hub, but we still need to make sure we're benefiting the entire county.
Okay. So if elected, what would be your top priority, and how would you champion it?
I have like a couple of main core ideas I've been working on. Probably one of them is like my idea to help grow the economy and to expand basic internet broadband access to the rural areas. Again, that's not a key role of the Treasurer's Office, but it's something I can help push, because as of right now, besides a satellite provider out there, they have low-speed internet access in certain parts of the county, and if we can provide better access to the internet, it could help boost the economies in certain areas with businesses needing better access for research and financial management. And not only that, but also help with education purposes for the schools out there. There's a current state bill that was proposed at the last session. I believe it was sponsored by State Senator Annie Minar and Sam McCann, in which they would make schools the hubs, and then broadband can expand out there. So that was an idea. But then also there's the United States Department of Agriculture. They have a rural development section that provides grant funding for broadband expansion, but especially in areas that private companies currently don't see as beneficial. But if we as the county government can help step in and provide that initial push for infrastructure redevelopment, I think that can definitely help bring in those internet providers and future businesses that definitely need those kind of support, not only just for like roads, water, electricity, but internet has definitely become a new modern infrastructure that needs to be tapped into by local governments.
Well, we're talking about technology. What types of technological efficiencies would you want to bring to this office?
In terms of financial management, it's difficult to really know until I get into the offices. I'm not exactly able to tour the offices, see all the financial management tools they have. But it's definitely something I look into, because I've worked in several different government departments and agencies, and I've seen the different tools being used, and I try to utilize them. One such task was I briefly worked as a contractor in the state treasurer's office, property. It's escaping right now. It's like lost property or whatever it is, and
the iCash program.
Thank you very much. The iCash program, and I was a contractor, and we used scanners for digital documents and so forth. And when I started working as an office associate for the Federal State Exchange Unit, a lot of my job was maintaining casework or developing casework for revenue tax specialists. And I stepped up and became a part of the transition to paperless in that department, and I kept trying to push these portable scanners that we use in the Treasurer's Office and similar programs. We eventually settled on other methods to become paperless, and they've become quite well. There's some problems still going on there, but they've definitely made large strides becoming paperless. So those kind of ideas, I've learned a lot by being very flexible, and I've adjusted to a lot of different departments and government agencies to kind of help bring in a new mindset that, county department hasn't done so in years, perhaps.
Okay. I'd say most people probably come into contact with the treasurer's office in regards to the collection of property taxes.
Correct.
So what changes, if any, would you recommend or would you make to how property taxes are collected?
In terms of property tax, it'd be difficult to halt the physical collection of property tax because there's definitely people who aren't as technologically inclined to do so. But I would probably, as we were talking briefly about, finding a new technological development tool that we can help utilize through the treasurer's website or section of the county website, and then help advertise that so people are aware of how to pay property tax. That will help cut costs in terms of staffing and handling of cash, perhaps, in the treasurer's department. And it'll definitely be a beneficial tool if people are more aware of it. But I understand the need for face-to-face interactions for some property tax or property owners, and the need to collect the cash physically. And we just need to make sure that our people working in the treasurer's office have the best tools to do so.
Are they lacking any tools that you would?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Okay. We're talking about being efficient. How would you ensure the office is run in a fiscally efficient manner?
A lot of this is probably hurt by the fact that I haven't had a lot of access to the treasurer's office, not because they stopped me or anything, but it's like once I step in, I can definitely better understand the efficiency of it all. But I've definitely walked into offices and state departments and tried to figure out, is there a better, cheaper way to do things? I've tried to suggest something as simple as we were trying to utilize LED light bulbs in Department of Revenue, and it was difficult because some of the light bulbs. This is a very silly story. Some of the light bulbs will like hurt people's eyes, and because there's not like a kind of a blocking mechanism, because LED lights are much brighter than fluorescent light bulbs. But if we tried to like put in a film, a film that help block it so people's eyes aren't hurting, that might be helpful because LED lights are more efficient and stuff like that. But that's just a small idea. But those are just ideas I can think of that the treasurer's office would be beneficial for if we can just kind of find new inventive ways that people just don't think about on a daily basis, or be more mindful of the employees there and it's like ask them. It's like, you work here on a regular basis. I'm sure that people, well, I'm almost guaranteed this one probably working in the treasurer's office now has probably worked there longer than how old I am. So they've definitely seen a lot and understand a lot more. So I would definitely be willing to listen and want to get that input of the current employees.
This office also handles a lot of public documents. Mm-hmm. How would you ensure that those documents are accessible to taxpayers?
I've dealt with a lot of sensitive information, especially working in the Federal State Exchange Unit, Department of Revenue, or even working in the governor's office, where I've had to deal with a lot of personal information in terms of social security numbers and addresses. But I would make sure that we follow the guidelines of the county and sometimes the federal guidelines to ensure that our documents are being secured, and then when necessary they can be released to the public, because we don't want just anybody to obtain documents that might be used against us, taxpayer, or for nefarious reasons. So I would make sure to follow the guidelines in the office.
Can I back up for a minute?
Sure.
One thing that I've just kind of noticed over the years is that it strikes me that fewer and fewer people understand taxes. Mm-hmm. You know, how taxes are established, how rates are set, how they're collected, whether it's property tax, income tax, sales tax, and then that all leads to what can those taxes be used for.
Right.
So, and I don't think teach that in high school or grade school, right? Where do people learn that? From their dads that don't like to pay taxes?
I've learned how to pay taxes from, I would say trial and error, because I've usually been pretty good about paying my taxes, but it's been definitely a learning process as adults. But I would definitely like to provide an educational, I would definitely, like, if see fit by the public, to give them an education, perhaps touring several sectors of the county and having like pseudo town halls, allowing them to ask questions, especially going to schools, because home ownership's not becoming as much of a reality for a lot of people. Like, I own my home here in town, but it wasn't easy, and I know a lot of people my age aren't looking forward to that. But once I'm done paying off the house and or paying off the loan mortgage, I will have to start paying the property tax myself personally instead of having the bank do so. So that's going to definitely be a learning process there. But it'll be definitely good to have education available for people throughout the county, and definitely being more active. Like I'd rather be more of an active treasurer, going out to see the people and help them if they have questions, and travel and get to know them more and help in any way I see fit or they see fit.
The treasurer. John, you good? Okay. Good. The treasurer of Sangamon County also serves as the Capital Township supervisor and collector. There is a non-binding referendum on the November ballot that asks voters if they want the county to absorb the township. There are also at least stated efforts that that the city will put a similar measure on the spring ballot, but saying the city should absorb the township. Do you support consolidation, and if so, with which entity?
I find it really funny because I noticed that this idea of consolidation has come up a little bit more often since last spring, when they got a new township trustee, Lakeisha Purchase, who was the first Democrat in, I believe, 70 years to come on. And so it seems like the idea of consolidation has become more of a question since she got brought on for whatever reason. But I believe in consolidation in certain terms, but for Capital Township, they do a lot outside of the county and the city. And my idea of, like, if a state government, or no, sorry, a local government entity needs to prove its worth, so not to get consolidated. The Capital Township, I think, is doing more of an effort to educate its citizens, especially through the work of Lakeisha Purchase. I'm giving her a bit of a shout out right now, so I hope she enjoys this. But no, it's like I think a lot of that should be more on the terms of the local government entity. I think the Capital Township should have a say. I don't think, well, I guess they're voting through the county and the city, but they need to ultimately make the say. But I think if the entity doesn't want to be dissolved, they need to ensure that they prove their worth. I think they're doing a little better job of educating the citizens, so I won't be voting for the consolidation at this moment. But if I feel in the future that they're not doing as much, I will change. I will probably just have to change my mind.
Okay. What else would you like to share with yourself about voters?
About myself?
Yep.
I just feel like I have the vision, determination, and ability to take on this job. It's always funny going around when people see me running for county treasurer. They say, "Are you a little young?" Or I have a granddaughter or grandson your age and stuff like that. I'm like, "Thank you," but it's just I feel that we need a new vision and new ideas to step in. It's not often you get someone who's willing to step up and get out. This is well out of my comfort zone. I can't tell you, like 2 or 3 years ago, I could not be imagined I'd be at this table. But I think I definitely am willing to step up and take on the challenge.
Anything else? Okay. Well, we thank you for meeting with us today and invite you to give just a brief closing statement to voters as to why they should elect you the next treasurer of Sangamon County.
Thank you. I appreciate coming here today, and I think I could be the next county treasurer because, like I was just stating, I have the vision and determination to do so. I believe in 3 core principles of my campaign is to help grow the economy through I talked about briefly with the advancement of internet, broadband for the rural areas, and possibly for fiber optics in the city. I want to help heal the community by providing more funding and guidance with the public health department, and I would help rebuild our neighborhoods by providing something as basic as a grant for first-time home buyers, which will be a private partnership with a bank. But these are just some ideas I have, and I hope to do the best job I can for the people of this county.